Okay, thanks, Dan. I thought this would be bigger and more readable, but turns out it's not. And what this basically is it's a record of everything, hopefully, that we've done since the presidential election in Monterey County. And some of the results of that presidential election locally that were actually successful. It wasn't a complete loss all the way down the ticket, right? Obviously, we lost the presidency, but there were other things on the ballot that we did well. And soon thereafter, there were things that I think were successful for progressives and Democrats in our county. And without going through everything here, I'm going to make a copy and I'll pass it around if you want to keep it. The reason I thought to do this is because I have a degree in history. I'm an old timer, so I've been around a while. So just remembering things is important to know what we did, and at some point somebody's going to want to know what the hell happened here, what we did. Did people do anything? Did we resist? We did on a lot of fronts. And so it's all written up here. I'm not going to go over it, but I'll pass around the same thing, 8.5 by 11. And if you see anything that's missing or incorrect, do let me know, and I can send it to you electronically too. I've got lots of people's emails here. So, but basically it shows that we did a hell of a lot of work resisting the Trump Republican agenda in this county. It's always hard to keep track of all this, I think, because sometimes a lot of things were done spontaneously, and they sort of came and went, oof, and I think that's always true. Like kids walked out of a middle school in Salinas, oof, it's just like that, I know there's things missing here, so people may it's somewhat chronological. It goes from election day, November 8th to September, just recently. So I'll pass out a paper copy and email the folks I see in the room. And if something's missing or it's portrayed incorrectly or improperly or not completely, send me something that we can add. So we'll have to keep this as a record of what we did in the first days of the Trump administration. The other thing I was going to mention was Sheila and I and Kathleen Slattery and Karen Raffle went over to Modesto about 2 or 3 weeks ago and canvassed with a group called Working America, and that's a community affiliate with the FUL-CIO, and they have a different, I'm not sure I want to hear from swing left folks, but one thing I found out is Congressional District 10, which is Jeff Denham, it's a target for the Democratic Party and all affiliates of the Democratic Party, organized labor for everybody, and the Indivisibles that live in Stanislaus County. And there's a whole list. There's Tom Steyer's Next Generation Climate Change, Swing Left, Working America. There's 9 Democratic opponents that have already expressed interest in running against Jeff Denham, and 1 independent. So this is going to be a very busy District 10. Now, Jeff Denham used to live in Salinas. I don't know if you remember that. He ran for city council, and we beat him. And he ran for assembly, and we beat him. This is like 20 years ago. And then he got elected to state senate, and this is something where we overlap the 12th Senate district, which is still pretty much the same configuration. It's currently represented by Anthony Canella, but Jeff Denham has been in that seat because it includes part of Salinas, the whole Salinas Valley. So next year we have probably Ana Caballero and Luis Alejo, maybe others, are going to run for that Senate district, as Canales turned out. And you know what the term, the Venn diagram is? It's like there's some big overlap between the Senate district, state Senate district that takes into Salinas Valley, and that 10th Congressional district. So we walked in series. That's in the same Senate district as Salinas, and it's in the Jeff Dennis Congressional district. So there's some, that's going to make it even more. It's going to be an open seat, you know. And over 50% of the voters in the Congressional district are Latino. So obviously everybody thinks there's something, you know, Hillary Clinton won that Congressional district, even though Ganim also won and was reelected. So there's some persuadable swing voters there, it sounds like. We went door to door. And again, I've got to write, I did a summary of this, which I'll just send to people instead of reading. I used to hate this when I was on school board, and all the staff would get up and read off the wall. I can read myself, so I won't do that to you. But just wanted to point out one more thing, which is not completely off the subject, but what's happening in Congressional District 10, we should look at our own Congressional District the same way. Even though we have a good Democratic congressman, we've got lots of, you know, all the state offices here are all except for held by Democrats. What's happening in Congressional District 10 is something we really ought to consider doing here. And not just have the usual campaign that starts up in September of next year, which means basically start early, be persistent, and keep at it, including voter registration. So here's the potential for voter registration in our district. So there's 422,000 people in Monterey County. 309,000 are over the age of 18. 233,000 Monterey County U.S. citizens are eligible to register and vote. 233,000. Only 185,000 are. So that means there's 48,000 people who are eligible to register to vote right now in Monterey County. 48,000. And according to the Registrar of Voters, because I asked them about this, 48,000 people eligible. There's 48,000 people eligible to register to vote, who are not registered, and 53,000 people who did not vote in November 2016. So there's close to 100,000 people who could register to vote, who didn't in last year's presidential election. So I think that calls on us to think about some way to do a voter registration drive here, not just in Congressional District 10, but in our district. There's a lot of potential. Anyway, we'll send this out to people electronically and make a few to pass out. That's all I wanted to present. Working America is it's been over there in Congressional District 10 for 3 months. We've got a couple hundred volunteers around the state. We have some young people in the 20s that pay door to door 5 days a week. They just talk about issues. They're not talking about candidates. They don't even mention Jeff Dennis. They're basically just trying to find out what motivates people. And part of it, this was the book they were reading when I was there. It was called Democrats and the White Working Class. Right? But most of the voters there, though, I think who are probably eligible to register and vote are probably Latino. But because we apparently have lost a lot of white working class people in many parts of the country, a lot of people are looking at that as a way to figure out how many white working class voters are, would vote or did vote for Obama, for example. Susan, you had a question?
Yeah. What are you doing for like what is happening in other like roadblock or Kevin McCarthy or any of these other municipal people? Is there a viable organization going on in any of those places?
Well, maybe others know that and they're going to speak. I suspect so. I think I was focusing on 10 because it's right over the hill here. It's right near Casa de Fruta. It's right over there. Boom. Patterson, Newman, it's the easiest one to get to. But I think we'll get an answer to that in a little bit. Okay, thank you.
Did you put that together, Gary? Was it?
Make it bigger.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary. One thing this is Take Action Tuesday, so we always want to have some action items that we address as well. We have postcards over there, and there's some talking points that Catherine put together of some current items. Something that came since she put that together was the massacre in Las Vegas. So one thing if you would do as a group, like right now, if everybody has their cell phones, is to text our senators about Senate Bill, is it 446? I don't have my own handwriting from across the room.
446.
Yeah, that's
That concealed carry permit.
right. The Concealed Weapon Reciprocity Act. They're trying to pass a law that if you have a concealed weapon permit in one state, that will go across the country and you can take it to any other state. So somebody from, say, Alaska or Oklahoma, where there's more lax gun laws, that's carrying a concealed weapon to come to California with no penalty or no problem. So it's important that that's something that's coming up, I think, very soon. So that would be a really...
What was the bill number? 446.
446.
Senate 446?
Yeah, Senate Bill 446. Tell your senators to vote no on that. A real easy way to do it is resist bot. If you text the word resist to the number 50409, you'll be prompted on what to do. And it's so simple. It's crazy simple. You text to that number the word resist, and they'll come back to you asking you, I think your zip code is how it goes, and you just follow the prompts from there, and they will send a free fax to your senators. I use it almost, I wouldn't say every day, but probably 5 times a week. And initially, I would agonize over what I was writing, and the more you use it, the more you realize you just want to get your message out. So something as simple as, please vote no on 446. Thank you. To our senators here, there's a lot of thank yous. But such a simple thing, and it's very effective. So that's my tip on action items. Catherine, did you have anything?
Oh, there's a couple other things that are, their comment period is open for EPA, and another one, and the dates are on here. So EPA wants to withdraw from the Clean Water Act for Bristol Bay in Alaska to allow for discharge from the mining. And the comment period ends October 17th on that. And then the DHS has a new regulation from Homeland that will allow the Department of Homeland to look at your cell phone and social media information at the border crossings. And so there's public comment periods open on that too until October 18th. And then there's just some more information on here about some other bills that you might be interested in contacting your members of Congress about. And as well as some talking points on our lovely new tax proposal in the Senate. Tax.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway. So anyways, and so there's copies of this too if you want to take them home and do them, or if you want to look at anything here. They've got mailing addresses and websites. Yes, sir. You may. You certainly may.
Catherine, since we have a group, do you talk a little bit about what's happening with the members of Congress Watch?
So our weekly members of Congress Watch reports, I've lost all my watchers, and so I don't have anybody to help me do all that research and put that together every week. So I wanted to try and find another way that we could still satisfy our need to hold our members of Congress accountable, to know what they're doing, and have issues that we should be acting on, and get that out to people. So I'm open to ideas, one of which I had was to do something like this, where I can put just more of a general, these are some things that you can do, and these are a couple things, targeted things you can contact Feinstein or Harris or Panetta about. That maybe we can send out in an email, or we can bring to take actions Tuesdays to act on, and then maybe you guys have some other ideas.
Or if anybody's interested in taking up with the con and watching one of your favorite member of Congress,
Yeah.
I'm sure Catherine would be willing to show you what she's been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it logistically takes more manpower to do that, and I know everybody's volunteering on so many different levels and doing so many things that there's so much need out there that you kind of have to pick and choose how much you can give to what. So I think that's why I lost all my watchers.
Catherine,
Yes,
I know that you might have mentioned this already, but I know there was a concern that nobody really was looking at it.
Yeah.
And being the person that's been sending out the emails, I was wondering if it might be worth doing like a little survey of, because people are opening them. Not very many people are clicking, which probably means they're looking at the summary that's visible, but they're not necessarily opening up. And so I wondered if maybe we did a survey about what's most helpful. Maybe if we did it monthly instead of weekly, it would seem less overwhelming for the people who are doing the research. And then the other thought that I had was utilizing what Indivisible, the big group, is already putting together. They send out weekly notices, and maybe if we linked to that, and then just monthly had an update on our own Congress. I don't know.
I
Just a
agree.
couple thoughts that.
I agree. There's so many other groups doing the same kind of similar things, sending out stuff that we probably could just hook into something like that and feed it to our group. So
Maybe our focus could be on Panetta,
Right.
and find somebody else who's already doing something similar on Feinstein and Kamala Harris, because they're the whole state. I don't know. It might be worth spending a little time doing
So
some
maybe a
research.
survey and see what people.
Yeah.
So we are also lucky to have here from Swing Left, Pat and Judy, who are the outreach recruiters. Yeah, from Swing Left. So they'll tell you a little bit about that organization, which is very dynamic, I have to say, very organized, very focused.
We're also grassroots, so,
Yeah.
and national, so
Yeah.
of course those things make it challenging. We're doing our best, so. I'm going to pass around, we hold our one-page handout, which sort of tries to capture one side of the page, who we are and what we're doing and how you can join us and those kind of things. So this was, I think, included in the Facebook postings and things like that, so that you can take it home with you. Soak all this into your brain, and we've got friends that aren't here tonight or that you think might be interested. I encourage you to share the information with them. I wanted to thank Dan first for inviting us here tonight. So we're actually trying to get around to all the other groups here on the Monterey Peninsula to talk to them about some of the. Did you hear me okay in the back over there?
One thing I wanted to say for your benefit is Christina is here from Marina Indivisible. So we had talked about trying to put us up the different individuals together.
Yeah, I've been trying, I know, we'll talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak first. Judy's she's got a piece here, an important piece she'll talk about as well too. And then we'll talk a little bit more about how you can join, how people get connected. So I think some folks here have been activists a large part of their lives, large part of their adult lives. Not me. I've been a lifelong Democrat. I've been an informed voter, I feel like, but I've not put myself out there. I'm not crazy about public speaking. But with the election in 2016, I couldn't justify not trying to do something, right? So I think probably many of you feel the same way. I belong to a bunch of indivisible groups. I think because of Indivisible, we still have Obamacare. We still, the resistance out of the indivisible groups across the country has been invaluable to protecting some of the things that we all hold dear. So I can't say enough how important this work is here at the Indivisible groups. I belong to a bunch of the indivisible groups, and I pay attention to a lot of them, but I sort of was worried about 4 years of resistance and whether or not, how long we can sustain some of the types of resistance that's been happening. And then I heard about Swing Left. I heard about it on the Rachel show first. They were just getting started. Grassroots also formed after the 2016 election. It was formed by a couple of young former congressional interns. Sort of knew the political system probably better than we all have on the top of our head. They're thinking, what's the first thing we can do that would have an impact on stopping the Republican agenda? So they sort of looked at some numbers. They looked at how the government works. We have national elections every 2 years. Senators are there for 6 years. Only a third of the Senate is up for re-election every 6 years. We're not far off on having a Democratic majority there, but they looked at the senators that were going to be up for re-election in 2018, and they're in very red states. So the challenge there was to try to transfer those over to Democratic seats. They looked at the House of Representatives, 435 seats, all up for election every 2 years. So then they ran some more numbers, and they came across at the start 24 districts that they felt were possible to flip from either ones that were currently held by Democrats, but by a very narrow margin, so they're at risk in 2018. Districts that went for Hillary at the presidential level, but went Republican in a narrow margin at the House of Representatives level. Or districts that were, the last sort of piece that also was helpful is if they have large Democratic districts nearby, to support trying to transfer a district from being Republican into a Democratic district. So that was the original start of Swing Left. The goal of swinging the House of Representatives left over to the Democrats to stop the Republican agenda. And again, it was started at a national level. There is a national site, swingleft.org, that collects all the information for everything that's happening at the national level. You go there and you don't really sign up by giving them your email address at the national level. You go up and you put in your zip code, and it tells you the closest district that they're trying to flip, closest district to you. And add on to what Gary was talking about, it is CA10, so that's the district that they're focusing on trying to swing left, swing from a Republican district to a Democratic district. Jude will talk more about CA10 in a few minutes. So we started early, and what do you do this early before the November 2018 election, right? So it's still a long way away. But the goal is really to recruit, to grow our organizations, to find the tools we can use, to get trained, to do what you guys did out in CA10 already, to have people out walking the district, canvassing voters, finding out what their concerns are, looking for like-minded voters who either are not registered or who might have moved and don't have current registration, that works for them. Looking for potential swing left members in the district, because there's a whole lot of folks up and down we're supporting California 10 all the way from Monterey County up through into Marin County and over into the East Bay. There's like 60 swing lefters in that area. But there's a lot of people we can talk to. We'll give the statistics of how many unregistered voters there are and how many are registered that didn't vote. They're 3 times what they are here in Monterey County. So there's a lot of people out there we can potentially reach. But So the goal right now is to grow our membership, go out, give it a try, canvass voters, sign up as many as you can, try to get Swing Left organized in a bigger way over there so that they can support their own district and we can go help them. It's better if we go canvassing, if we go with maybe one of us from Swing Left and one of us from the district so that they've got a local representative out there. They're not too crazy about all those little folks from the left, from the coast coming over and trying to tell them what to do. The goal is not to try to look for voters to convert from a Republican to a Democrat. The goal is to look for Democrats who are either not registered or haven't been out to vote. Get them registered, and so the biggest swing will actually, the biggest activity will, as it gets close to the election, get them out to vote, getting out those Democratic voters for the November 2019. So what we're trying to do here is grow our organization as much as we can. We're going over, our local group here is going to send some cars over to Turlock. That is the closest area that we find from here. It's about 2 hours and 15 minutes from here. I'll go over and help them with a local canvassing event in Turlock on November 12th. So we've been doing some training on voter registration, we've been doing some training on canvassing, and they will train us that day as to what how they want us to do it in that particular district, or that particular area. And that's the first, Judy's been over there with one of our other colleagues, trying to do voter registration. It's not easy, but it is interesting, and it's what we need to be doing. And so that's where we ourselves here on the Monterey Peninsula are figuring out how we're going to work within the organization, and it will get more active as we get into 2018. They found some nice tools now to do phone banking, to do some texting campaigns. So we're not really so much contacting voters now by those methods, but what we're trying to use those methods for now is to contact potential Swing Left volunteers in the district to say, hey, you know what, they're going to be canvassing on November 12th close to you, come out and join us. Or there's going to be other events, there may not even be a canvassing event, other local events where they get more involved in what's happening there locally, encouraging them to attend those events there. So that's the type of phone banking we're using. That way we all become familiar with the tools, so that when it comes time to really go out and phone bank in a big way, we've all done it. It's more complicated. So that's kind of the goal of it all. What have I missed? We've got some folks here. You may all have friends that are like-minded. If you hear about us, I'll send around a sheet. You can get onto our email list. We have a Google group that we use for email. We don't actually send out a lot of emails. We don't have very regular meetings. We will have sort of isolated events at this point here. That's our November 12th event, and we have some canvassing trainings and some training events. So it's not a big, you don't get a lot, it's not something that's going to flood your inbox. It's a fairly quiet group at the moment. It will get busier as it gets closer. But we need our numbers. We need to grow our numbers. We need to get more training. So if you'd like to be on that group, then feel free to sign up. If you have friends and you'd like us to come and talk to them about Swing Left, we're happy to do that. You can invite them to your house, or we can find a venue that we can go to, and Judy or I are happy to come, or other members of our steering committee are happy to come and speak to your group. You've been out, she invited us, we've been out to talk to her group, one of her groups, and so we hope this resonates with some of you, that it might be a way you can feel like you can actively work to help out, help to swing in that district.
Okay, please feel free to interrupt me if I forget something. And I'm Judy Ritchie, and I joined Swing. Pat invited me to a house party, and I went just out of curiosity. But what happened to me was everyone is talking about the outrage and the disappointment in the election, and it gets, after a while, I got really tired of it. I'm just preaching to the choir. And it's making me feel worse. It's not making me feel better, because I meant, it's time to do something. Anyway, the house party was very well structured, and when Pat and I walked out of it, we looked at each other and said, this is the organization that we might be able to affect some change in. And why? It's because it's focused. it has an objective and it's doable. We actually can go out there and get people to vote. If we're organized, we need some Spanish speakers, we need young people, we need old people, we need, but the secret is our emphasis is on getting voters registered. Let me tell you these shocking statistics. At least I thought they were. Overall in California District 10, and we have a couple of maps, review and pass around. It looks like it was the shape of it makes it look like it was gerrymandered by Republicans, but overall there's about 506,000 people living in this area, and let's see, just a moment, excuse me, see, I lost my own figures. 232,000 did not vote. They were either eligible to vote and did not vote. That was about 20% of the total. The other, about 45% of the total, didn't even register, but were eligible to do so. So we're talking a difference of 232,000 people who could vote. That is huge. Jeff Denham won by 8,000 seats. So we have to look at this situation and say, registering people to vote has got to be a primary purpose of our organization. And again, it's doable. The way we do it is, as Pat was saying, canvassing. Later we'll do phone banking and voter registration ourselves. Also, when we do this, we work in conjunction with the people who are already established, organizations already established in California 10, and people in San Francisco are highly mobilized, highly motivated to work in this section. Also, the New York Times had an article recently that said the seat most likely, most flippable in California is California District 10. Okay, Mr. Denham voted for the Health Act. He's voted party line. And it doesn't benefit, it is estimated by the California Department of Health that 150,000 people in California District 10 would have lost health insurance had the Graham bill passed. So these are big things. When issues do come up, these are real things that can be talked about. There are 6 people currently running. They have announced their candidacy, and they've already had a debate. And if you go on, if you write down if you sign up, we'll send you the link, and then there's another link you can read about the debate. So the map is passing around. So let's see, what else did I have about this? Yes, 150,000 people under Graham passing. So we have a tremendous target audience. And we are working with people in California 10 to canvass on November 12th. And this is just the start of a number of efforts we'll make. And as time goes on, we're going to try to organize to involve young people. I understand from what we've heard, though we're going to research it further, is that the colleges have a voter registration day in April. And so we can make ourselves available to help with that. You don't have to travel to District 10 to help. You can be part of the phone banking team. I was involved in calling for Obama and got a tremendous reception. It was kind of fun too, and I was calling people all over the country, and they wanted to talk about how they felt. It was just fun. And some people were too busy or they didn't answer the phone, and that was fine. If you get 1 out of 5, you can have a great conversation and solidify your own thinking, and that's when preaching to the choir actually has benefit. So what we were saying is, please go out and vote. In places like Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and so forth. But, so those are our strategies. They're doable. The more volunteers we have, the more doable it will be. One group I read has, in another part of the state, has high school translators. And when you go into an area with a lot of Latinos, and if you don't speak Spanish, that's tremendous help. And these young people think that they're performing something very valuable. So that's something we should look into, recruiting through the high schools, because we can't. We want to canvas, but we can't speak Spanish.
Isn't there one other district that you guys were also targeting?
Yes,
21.
There is another district, California 21. We don't have the map, but it is west of Fresno, and it encompasses a little tiny section of Bakersfield. And if you're familiar with Hanford, which is about the largest, okay, Valadeo and the New York Times, in the article they published, they said he was the second most
Well,
vulnerable.
that's what I was trying to say. There's so many people, you said from the San Francisco area, that are concentrating on 10. Would it make some sense to be putting more of your concentration on 21?
Well, I think I mentioned there are 24 districts they had listed at the beginning. Given the fact that they got such a good response, they went and they added some districts. California 21 was added more recently. So it isn't as organized yet, and they are still doing the research on it. There's a whole lot of research that's been done on California 10. So they're not quite to the same mobilization phase as they are in California 10. So we'd be very happy to also support California 21, because it's not really, some of those places you can go to are no further than Turlock.
Right.
So-
I mean, for us, it'd be easier to get to than for the San
So we're sort of waiting until they're a little bit further along in their process, so that we have the contacts locally and that type of thing, that we can interact with them.
They're fairly close to San Luis Obispo, so the people down there in Santa Barbara, San Luis are organizing, but they're not as far along as we are. But it's actually, if we feel we have enough volunteers for 10, we're talking about branching out down to 21. Again, it's been harder to get information. It's a smaller district. It's a lot of farmland. The Hispanic population is more than 50%. And again, we don't know the voter turnout, but we do know that there are more registered Democrats than Republicans in that area. And the contender last time was the Hispanic son of a very well-known union organizer in that district. And he gained a very small percentage of the vote for some reason, but it was projected that he would be popular. He's running again, but we think that he'll have some competition. So we'll know more about that. If you come along and join our group, you may have a chance to work there. Another way to recruit is if you have friends or family in any of these areas, they can have a house party. They can connect with the local group. A lot of people I know I've met here have retired from Merced and Modesto, and they have family and friends there and generating interest that way. So you can encourage that if you're so inclined. Yes?
One of the big problems, one of the reasons that Republicans got the House in the Senate in the first place is because of voter intimidation and voter suppression. And the whole problem of people not having to vote. They like considered inadequate IDs. And everyone's worked hard to try to change that, but the Republican Congress have hard to do. So what I'm thinking is if we have people who are hoping those people get adequate IDs, even though we agree that it's kind of crap that they have to get them, if that's what they want, we should be making an effort to help some 85-year-old black woman in Mississippi get an ID even though she was born in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
And that's something that takes a little time, so we should be doing it early, trying to get those people. In Wisconsin, 200,000 people who didn't franchise it. And
That's a very, very good point. In fact, when we go canvassing, we might meet people who need that kind of help, and we would make ourselves available to do that. I think everyone is committed. Every vote counts. That's our attitude. Every vote counts. And that would be one of our objectives. If they need help, also we'll get people to the polls. I said to my husband already, we have 2 cars. We're going to take both of them. So we'll try to mobilize a large group to get people to the polls. Yes.
So there's your effort, swing left, there's Working America, which I'm sorry I missed the presentation on. There's Indivisible. I'm sure there's 10 other groups that we don't know about. I wonder if there's an effort for us to mobilize ourselves together. I mean, I know you're here trying to recruit us, but that's to your organization. I wonder if there's some effort for us to work in collaboration so that we're not at cross purposes or duplicating the effort.
Working America has been training a lot of the folks doing canvassing, coming out of Oakland and coming out of San Francisco. There was another group that came from the Peninsula, came down here and did our training. So, Working America, and they've been doing canvassing a long time. They're kind of experts at it. And so we're using them to help us train. And then we're like these folks that went out, you went with someone from Working America, right? So I think we are collaborating with the organizers as well too. So I think we are at some level. And again, it's one of the challenges of the grassroots thing, and so we're even trying to figure out how to get all these people, all the right people connected.
Yeah.
But I think we're not doing poorly in that aspect.
Yeah.
That's why we're here speaking.
Yeah.
And we are working toward
Just
collaboration.
to add something to that question, Working America is going to every house. So they're not even just going to voters. Because we went to people who weren't citizens, people who are not registered to vote. But there's a point where they're going to switch, to a more of an election mode. But in the meantime, they're trying to build an organization. So it's not in conflict, but there is collaboration there. Because they're doing, at this point, something that's a little bit different. Swing left, the Democratic Party and Working America could all go to the same neighborhood and be doing different things that are valuable at the same time. They don't really conflict.
Well, we've talking about that, weren't you? And you talked to Megan about it. Our lead is Megan Reese, and we're trying to collaborate. And Pat's been working very hard on this, done a wonderful job, so that we're not conflicting and overlapping. It's like, we don't want to be a robocall.
Yeah, but we're real people.
Yeah, and I think the Working America attempt is the same thing that we try to do. At this point, we're going to try to register voters if we find out that they're not registered. But they're really trying to get a sense of what people's concerns are now. That's what canvassing is. And I assume that's kind of the same type of approach you guys took.
Right, you're using iPads, which is really cool. I mean, they're really high tech, and what they want to do is start to use the iPad. You can register right online, right on the iPad. So when they're canvassing, they can get voters registered, which is fabulous. That's what we need to do, is use the technology.
Something came from the ACLU selected districts, and we don't know what they are yet, but they have been given permission to register people and on the same day that they vote. This is a big change.
Which came out today.
Yes, it came out today, and we don't know if California 10 is going to be in that category. We should ask about finding a way to proselytize for that. So this, in fact, if you look at the research, they found the things, all the barriers of voting. One is that you move and you have to go to the DMV and all this business. When I was trying to get people to vote, register to vote, I was in a parking lot in front of a Kmart or something. I said, "Can I save you a trip to the DMV?" I was trying to get their attention. That's the only sentence that got their attention. They still couldn't get any voters to register though. Anyway.
Well, that was part of our learning. That's part of what the phase we're in, is trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So that's what part of this early work is.
So, California, we know, is, our strength here is flipping these house seats. And we have two of the most doable ones with 10 and 21. ISA is only won down in Orange County area. Yeah, he only won by 1,000 votes. And now these people are looking at not being able to declare their property taxes as a tax write-off. And that's a big deal. I'm from Orange County. That's a big deal down there. So they're working very, very hard in Orange County.
So you said that, the goal is to get, people to register and get registered Democrats out to vote. But, are you totally abandoning the idea of converting some Republicans to vote Democratic? I mean, there's a lot of reasons, like the one you just gave, that you might be able to, and maybe in some of, the...
We will have a candidate after the primary in June, and we will count on that candidate coming with themes that will appeal across, we hope. And by that time, we may be organized and well-known enough that we could even give some ideas. But I have Republican friends, I have found that it's best not to discuss politics, even if I ask their ideas. There's such a disparity, polarization. I've never seen it, and I've lived a long time. Yes.
Is Swing left waiting until after the primaries to support a candidate? I'm assuming there'll be a change at that time.
We'll support whomever the Democratic candidate is.
And in terms of supporting them, I mean, you can go now, actually, and if you go to the website, of course, everybody needs money, so you can donate to support the Swing Left organization. It's pretty bare bone. But you can also donate to support whatever candidate, Democratic candidate, wins in the primary. And so, as an encouragement for candidates where money may be an issue, just to ahead of that election, sort of say, here's a pool of money. If you're the Democrat that ends up on the ballot for November, here's some money that's available to your campaign. And that will continue afterwards. Some people are not too crazy about doing it in advance, but you can do it after as a candidate. And if you can live with the candidate, then at that point you can also donate money that will go towards the campaign. They've set up all the proper logistics to do that as an official campaign type hack. So that's
Now, could we take maybe a few minutes? I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with the candidates, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate actually, but it'd just be an interesting discussion to kind of maybe see some of the highlighted candidates, not necessarily that you favor, right, but just kind of based upon numbers and how things have been going.
I don't know if you look at them, I haven't looked too much, but the early ones that came forward and put themselves into the ring were two of the ones were coming recently from outside the district. I think it's going to be a challenge they were interested in getting into politics and they moved into the district. There was one of them that was just outside the district, so he was like, and his wife, I mean, they because of where his wife was working or something like that, they were in a location like 2 miles from the district border and stuff. I don't know if that's a problem for the candidate or not. So, but I'm sort of, there's still, I think, Gary, you said there were 9 folks that have
The one that I've heard the most about, Dottie and Nygaard, is she's a member of the California Nurses Association, and they're pretty powerful, and I think they would bet her. That's all I know in terms of candidates. And it's the top 2, so after the primaries, the top 2 could be, probably Denham and one Democrat.
Yeah,
so
to make sure at least one Democrat's on it.
And if the nurses.
Well, there's a vast difference now in the Republican versus the Democratic agenda. And it's disparities greater than I can remember it ever having been. So we support the Democratic agenda.
The other thing that makes this a targeted issue, which I didn't really finish my thought, is the fact that the state Senate, our state Senate has a 27 to 13 edge in terms of state senators, and they want to keep that. So I think they're going to target that district too and try to either elect Monica Murrow or Louisa Lyle or somebody that's a Democrat. And those 2 are pretty solid candidates. And so they'll be more interest, because there's overlapping districts, the state help us deliver on our promises.
Trying to get out the Democratic vote.
Yeah.
There are more Democrats in the district, according to the registration. And of course, midterm elections, the opposing party seems to be historically more motivated. But so much originates in the House. If we could take over the House, we would really be able to stop much of the Republican agenda. All the money originates in the House.
Impeachment proceedings.
And it's, the money, where you put your money reflects your philosophy. So they can't do as much as the Senate and they can't confirm Supreme Court justices. But, yes.
I have a question with regard to voter registration. This building had a pretty good machine in terms of doing callback for Hillary. And I think it's pretty much still in place and established. Is your thought that several of these groups would get together and we would do callbacking in a central
That's what we did
location?
with Obama. People
Yeah.
came from all kinds of groups. I belong to AEW, and the American Association of University Women, the request came to us, and then there were people there from the League of Women Voters, and everyone gathered for the same purpose.
And there's sort of they could be sort of localized even in someone's homes is what I'm seeing, because there's these new tools out there these days, all these.
Well, we did all that here. It was rather sophisticated. It had fits and starts, and Tyler Mann and Gary and Elena can attest to this. It was fun at times, especially when she was ahead. We brought food. I think the bond that we established with each other was amazing. My vote would be that we collaborate and do this in one place. I mean, there's united, we're more powerful, stronger together, wasn't that?
Yeah. I was gonna say, the one you're talking about was really the Hillary organization.
Oh, yes.
So once there's a candidate, it would behoove us to work, or you to work with the candidate, because what we experienced is Indivisible, we sponsored a phone bank for the fellow who was working in Georgia, and we were calling on behalf of the candidate. We were working with the candidate's campaign, but there was Move On and all these other organizations who, have the best intentions, but people have now gotten like 4 calls, and they are pissed. They do not want another phone call. So I would highly recommend that once there's an established candidate that's swing left and Working America and the Democratic Party and Indivisible, that we all pull together to support, whether it's Dottie or whomever, so that we avoid that, duplication of not only duplication of effort, just irritating.
Exactly. We're not territorial at all. We're happy to share and collaborate.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of our goals.
Yeah.
Because we think we're stronger if we collaborate. Okay.
So if you want to join, you go sign on here, that's great. If you want to think about it, or if you other people, this one page here tells you how to join. So you put your name on this list, that's half of the job. That gets you connected to the local organizations. Get connected to the national organization by going to the swingleft.org website. It asks you for your zip code, and at that point, it will ask you to connect to California 10 or California 21 or both. And then they're starting to do, I think the first one just came out today, starting to do sort of updates on California 10 and 21. Those both came out, which is very handy actually, to sort of see what's been going on out there, what kind of activities have been having, and what kind of success or not we're having. And so both of those pieces, but this here gets you on your email list, or I'm here, it's got our Gmail address. You can connect to us that way. We can say we promise not to flood you, but we will be sending out an email to our entire membership shortly, talking about going out on November 12th, so the planning for that has not yet gone out to our membership, so you'd be included in that in terms of trying to get this in part of something that actually makes a difference.
I have one more question, and this might be something to think about for the future. The Democratic Party pays the local parties, so our Monterey County Democratic Central Committee can make $2.50, I don't know, up to like $4 for
for every voter that we register. It has to be, at this point, unfortunately, on a paper voter registration form, because that's how they track that you are authorized to do it. I don't know if there's any interest in, if you're already set to do it online and that's quicker and easier, I think people still have to sign something, but I think they have to print it.
Their fingers thing, probably a big piece of signature.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know, we're just gonna work with the woman in California, Turlock, who's been doing this and really good
Okay.
success. So whatever
Okay.
she uses,
That's
that's
what
what
you're
you're
using.
using. So
Okay.
I honestly don't know yet, because we haven't, this will be
Okay.
the first time we've done it.
They have to be, I have to register them officially with the California Democratic Party. No, you have to do it beforehand. Yeah, and we have a whole pile of them. But-
But, the voter registration.
Yeah, but, so maybe that would be something to think about for the future, is all.
And I think they all have to be counted for too, so you have to be careful what you.
Yeah, you have to copy them, because we have to then send in a copy, so you have to hang on to them, so it kind of adds another step that you may not want to.
And we, I think the first time we probably go out and see what's happening there, and then
Sure.
we'll come back and sort of figure out whether or not it makes sense. to try to do it.
Sure.
Well, I wonder if that can be a discussion, especially as we move forward in time with these registrar of voters, because, I mean,
It's not the registrar of voters, it's the California Democratic Party that has the rule
but
about it.
still, I mean, after a certain point, there should be able to work with registrar of voters, or DMV, or wherever it is, so when people are registering, they can just be the voters.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm saying? Because as we move forward in time, people are going to be less likely to fill out the paper registration forms.
I think it's the Dems you have to talk to first.
Actually,
They need to go into
Now that I
technology,
say
and
that,
they
I
haven't
remember
done
them
it.
talking about that for the last few meetings.
Yeah. It's unfortunately complicated.
Paper applications would probably work better at some event if you're having where you're in one place, door to door, it doesn't sound like. And when you have multiple people doing it, but if there's just two of you at an event,
Yes, that's the way it's.
See, I'm more inclined to think that the working American folks, if they're doing it on such a regular basis, they probably always have those iPads. I don't know, yeah, but I'm more inclined to
Yeah.
think we're going to be on paper ballots than we do.
Well, if the iPad doesn't have whatever service, then you're going to have Wi-Fi.
I think they must have their own ones. that
Something,
they send
yeah.
around. Yes.
I think they have their own, they were like really able to like collate all the information real time. Like they could even tell how many canvassers were out in each district across the country, not
Wow.
just here. They really had it together, didn't they, Gary?
Well, they had census data and voter reg data, and they had, they knew, well, they had what information there was on people, but not just voter information. And the census had, when you worked for the census, they had the same kind of thing, and they always had, it was always uploaded, everything, every house. That's the same thing this was, right? One thing I wanted to say about registering people to vote is part of the bounty that Democratic clubs get, which is you get an additional bounty of like 50 cents or so for getting the phone number of the voter, getting them to sign up to vote by mail, and an email. And that's so that we can contact them. And the absentee is so that they're more likely to vote. And California Democratic Party a few years ago, they put out a campaign to just get registered Democrats who were poll voters to sign up, not to register to vote, but just to be absentee voters, because their likelihood of voting went up like 5 to 10%, which turned out to be tens of thousands of people in Los Angeles. So just that little bit of information makes a big difference in turnout. It's more convenient. Right? So anyway, that's all easy to get if you get it right from the get-go to help people get their needs met by signing up properly and make it easy to vote.
We have voter registration trainings. We will schedule in the future some more, probably after the holidays. We've had canvassing training. We'll have more. And we need a phone bank chair.
Yeah, anyone who Oh, good, you got right here for COVID. Sorry, I'm not, it's easy.
Probably was mentioned this and I just didn't catch it, but what are the funds that you operate on, your effort to operate on? Where do they originate? You are matching funds from other sources?
The funds for Swing Left are totally, for the Swing Left organization, is all donations.
Well,
It's all donations from us members, yeah, members.
Yes.
There's
so
no,
is this always online?
yes, you do it online. There's probably some other way, but that's the way they've got, donate buttons, you click on online.
You sent it to me one time and I said I would give you $25 a month and this is my first 25 years, never speaking anybody since. So, you gotta fill that up a little.
Well,
They lost an opportunity there, haven't they?
Not necessarily forever, but.
that's been our next step, fundraising. But it would be for the candidate. We do, everything we do is on a volunteer basis. Questions?
Comments?
You guys are local, you guys are both local.
Yeah, we're here, originally we were looking at doing the whole county, and then we realized that mostly people are going to not come to Monterey to be the distance here, so now we're pretty much the Monterey Peninsula, so it's typical Monterey Peninsula.
Is there any other Swing Left groups in Monterey County?
Not that we're aware of.
But they're all over the country. And we are registered voters for Monterey County as well. You were speaking of making the same effort here. Some of our people went to the farmer's market on Tuesday, registered people for Monterey County. I think when the election is over, I think we'll probably continue building up a large organization. There's a lot of enthusiasm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Jim.
for coming.
There's someone who said they didn't like public speaking.
Forget about it after a while, I have to, really. I don't like to think about it and start, Thanks so much.
Oh, yeah.
Just want to remind people, if you feel like writing postcards, there's postcard materials over there. There's plenty of food and now Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm George Riley with Public Water Now. And I just want to invite everybody to our kickoff party on Saturday in Laguna Grande Park. We're in the process of working with the changed landscape in this community. So Measure Z passed, and they took on big oil. They passed them at the ballot. There's some litigation going on. Most of you know that the energy companies are also beaten by a different format, but the community power arrangements were also passed almost entirely in this county. So now we're trying to take on big water. I say big oil first, big energy company second, and we have an opportunity to take over the corporate water company here and just kick them out of town. So I just want you to know, and I'd like to get on this agenda if I could in the future to just give a little more of a background and so on. But we're kicking off our campaign on Saturday. We're having a signature gathering process starting the following week. And training. Pardon?
What time on Saturday?
Saturday 1 to 4. At Laguna Grande at the north end of the park. The uphill side of the park. Anyway, you're all invited. It's free. It's fun. We're going to kick it off and hopefully we'll just get the momentum going. Gary's very much a part of the campaign. I'm obviously very much a part of the campaign.
Well, I want to announce an event you could go to before that one.
I see it. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it.
So from 10 to noon, the Monterey County Democratic Central Committee is sponsoring, we call it Winning Ways. For folks that are considering running for office, there are 141 different offices that are going to be up for election across the county and in both the June primary and then in November. Things from water board to mayor to school board, all the way up to, our congressional. So this is for folks that are new to the
process of running for office. We're going to have some elected speak about what that's like to run a campaign and then to actually be in office, what's the time commitment and so on. And then we're going to hear from a couple of folks who run campaigns about what that end looks like. And it's just, call it Campaign 101, and then we're going to be offering some follow-up trainings that'll be more in-depth starting in January. Those dates haven't been announced. So it's at the Carpenters Hall in Marina, and I don't know the address off the top of my head.
910, second. 910.
Second
Yeah, kind of near like REI, that shopping center.
It's like diagonal from REI.
It's behind the Fora building.
Beyond, okay, thank you. So hope to see this Saturday coming up. No charge, and we'll have some bagels and cream cheese.
Just want to remind everybody that we give the Democratic Party $15 an hour for the use of this space, so if you have $1 or $2 to kick in the jar, that would be awesome. Also, if you're new to this event, if you'd like to get on the Indivisible Monterey Bay newsletter, you can sign up here. If you're already getting it, you don't need to sign in. And lastly, the most exciting thing, time for the door prize. Did anybody not put their name in that wants to?
You're being cheated otherwise.
Okay, last call. Drum roll. Everybody got a drum roll? Judy. Well, thank you. You're welcome.
Perfect.
Do I open the here? You can open it here. Because it'll make everybody want to go down there.
Let's see what we got. I know you got sweet left letters.
It didn't break when I rattled it.
Here's the button. On a pencil? Yeah. I need that. Thank you. That's great. Thank you.